Whether you prefer Wawa, 7-Eleven, Buc-ee's, Chevron, Town Pump, or Casey's, gas stations have a fix for a lot of your problems. Hungry? Grab a snack. Thirsty? Pick from the 10 slightly different options of water. Dragging on a road trip? How about an energy drink to keep you going? But between the Chex Mix and the bottled cold brew, you can also find a different kind of fix, the so-called gas station drugs. You may have heard of spice or bath salts, which were some of the early versions. Generally, these compounds mimic the effects of other drugs, including how deadly they can be, but in their early days, they're available because they haven't reached the level of popularity or documented danger to be regulated yet. Bath salts and spice have now achieved that notoriety, but in their wake, you can find products with names like Neptune's Fix or X-rated honey. Fun names aside, these can contain some pretty strong active ingredients, so let's talk about what exactly is in some of those gas station drugs. The first drug on our list might be new to your gas station, but it has a long history of use. Kratom comes from the leaves of a Southeast Asian tree. People in that part of the world have used it for centuries to help boost energy, to enjoy at social gatherings, or for medicinal or religious purposes. It's still popular in Southeast Asia, and it's booming in popularity in the United States, with more than 1.7 million reported US users in 2021. Those users smoke it, steep it, swallow it in capsules, or drink it as a liquid extract from the plant. So you could see it in quite a few forms at the store. And Kratom doesn't just come in many formats, it also comes with a wide range of effects. At lower doses, people say it's more of a stimulant, but at higher doses, it flips, acting more like a sedative, pain reliever, similar to an opioid. Some people even use it as an alternative to stronger opioids to get through withdrawal. It has those effects thanks to compounds in the leaves that bind to mu-opioid receptors, which are the same receptors targeted by morphine or heroin, so it makes sense that Kratom can produce similar effects. The difference is that Kratom's compounds don't bind quite as well, which is why the effects tend to be weaker. People often take Kratom as an alternative to substances we already know are risky, and compared to heroin or morphine, Kratom does appear to come with a lower mortality risk. But lower risk is not the same thing as safe. Potential side effects range from relatively mild, like nausea and dizziness, to much more severe complications like liver toxicity, slowed breathing, or seizures. People have died after taking Kratom, but most of those deaths involved other substances as well, making it difficult to tease apart how much the Kratom itself contributed. All in all, Kratom acts a lot like a weaker opioid, but its compounds also interact with serotonin receptors, dopamine receptors, and other targets in the brain. That multitasking helps explain why Kratom can feel stimulating, sedating, euphoric, or focusing depending on the circumstances. With all of those targets, Kratom may have legitimate medical potential, and researchers are looking into that possibility. But many countries aren't waiting for the answers. Kratom is illegal in at least 33 countries and regulated in some way in at least 11 more. Meanwhile, in the US, it's for sale next to snacks and supplements, which may make you think again before choosing it as a casual gas station pick-me-up to grab with your trail mix. And it's not the only opioid-like substance hiding there. This next gas station drug has a nickname that does not inspire confidence as an unregulated substance. Officially, it's called Tianeptine. Unofficially, people call it gas station heroin. It wasn't intended to be something that people buy on a whim and become addicted to. Tianeptine was originally developed in Europe as an antidepressant, and in some countries it's still prescribed and used that way today. Chemically, tianeptine looks similar to some tricyclic antidepressants, which helps explain why it was developed for that purpose initially. But instead of targeting serotonin and noradrenaline like most tricyclics, tianeptine acts on glutamate to reduce depressive symptoms. And to a lesser extent, it also activates mu-opioid receptors. You probably saw that coming when you heard its nickname, but yeah, this new kind of antidepressant can also act like an opioid. At therapeutic doses, it can help treat depression, but when you have free access to self-prescribe however much of this gas station drug feels good, some people take up to 120 times those doses to get opioid-like effects. Unsurprisingly, acting on the opioid receptors comes with opioid-like risks, like dependence, tolerance, withdrawal, and overdose. And tianeptine doesn't stick around in your body for very long, which can cause withdrawal symptoms to kick in fast and hard. So while prescription tianeptine can act as an antidepressant, gas station tianeptine use often results in opioid-like effects with opioid-like risks to match. But the people who make it have a more positive outlook on that story. They market it as a potential stopgap to ease opioid withdrawal. Like, if you're addicted to heroin, try this instead, setting a really high bar, making a drug that is slightly better for you than heroin. And there is some data to support that claim. One study conducted in rodents found that tianeptine was less likely than heroin to cause dependence. But case reports and anecdotes paint a much less reassuring picture, which might be why some countries keep it a controlled prescription antidepressant. In the US, it has never been approved for medical use and sits in a regulatory gray zone. It's not regulated at a federal level, but it is illegal in 13 states. So it might not be long before this gas station drug goes the way of bath salts. Before we get to the next gas station drug, it's time for a quick ad break. I'm assuming it'll be a bit of a tone shift.
Thanks to our presidents of science, Bynor the Drunk Dwarf, Charlie Stanley, and Harry Plumley for supporting this SciShow video. Last year, SciShow made hundreds of videos about everything from the weird ways people have tried to live forever to the science of urinals. Each of these videos is written, fact-checked, hosted, and animated by real people. And we couldn't have done that without the help of our incredible presidents of science who support us on Patreon. We're proud to be a nonprofit supported by a community that believes good information is worth it. And we're thankful to have you in that community too. Every time you watch a SciShow video, comment, share it with your friends, or support us on Patreon, you help make SciShow what it is. You can learn more at patreon.com/SciShow.
Despite how it may seem from the first two examples, not every gas station drug wants to cosplay as an opioid. Case in point, Phenibut. Phenibut was initially developed in the Soviet Union to help cosmonauts stay calm, cool, and collected in stressful situations. It has since been used for things like anxiety, alcohol withdrawal, PTSD, and some motor control issues like restless leg syndrome. Unlike the previous opioid-like drugs, this gas station drug acts like GABA, an inhibitory neurotransmitter that basically tells your brain and body to slow things down a bit. By binding to the same receptors as GABA, Phenibut can elicit a wide range of effects, from reduced anxiety to euphoria. It also blocks other receptors linked to anxiety, giving an extra layer of chill. But a 2019 review suggests that this is just the tip of the iceberg. That paper summarized that too much Phenibut can cause a whole host of symptoms, including sedation, agitation, combativeness, delirium, and psychosis. Just kind of really all over the spectrum there. Plus, Phenibut can cause withdrawal symptoms similar to benzodiazepines, since they target some of the same pathways. So you could end up with agitation, tremors, heart palpitations, decreased appetite, insomnia, and increased anxiety. Basically the opposite effects from what many people are taking it for in the first place. Phenibut may promise a calming fix, but can easily turn stressful or worse, which is why in Russia you still need a prescription for it. And in the US, the FDA is cracking down on companies that sell it as a dietary supplement. It's hard to know how common use is, though poison control centers in the US receive hundreds of calls related to Phenibut every year. But that's nothing compared to the number of calls they get about this next gas station drug. Now we get to talk about a familiar friend, but with a twist. Synthetic THC. For a quick botany refresher, THC comes from marijuana and hemp. Legally, they are differentiated by their THC content. Anything at or below 0.3% THC by weight is considered hemp. This is important because hemp is legal to grow, sell, and make products from in the US, while marijuana is not, at least at the federal level and at least as we film this video. You can make lots of things from hemp, including CBD, and that's where things get interesting. It is possible to chemically convert this hemp-derived CBD into delta-8 and delta-10 THC. These are chemical cousins to the delta-9 THC found in marijuana, the one most people think of when they think of getting high. Because these synthetic forms of THC come from hemp CBD, they exist in a legal gray area. They aren't technically the illegal delta-9 form, but they are pretty close. People use these synthetic THCs for many of the same reasons they use marijuana: to get high, reduce stress, spark appetite, or manage nausea, pain, or inflammation. Like natural THC, synthetic versions of THC also bind to your cannabinoid receptors in your brain. And where those receptors are in the brain matters for what kind of effects you might feel. Hitting the memory center can impair your short-term memory, and binding in your emotional center can lead to panic and paranoia. These synthetic THCs have been described as being a bit weaker than Delta-9, so both the desired effects and inadvertent side effects can be milder. But milder doesn't mean there are no side effects. Studies on Delta-8 and Delta-10 THC are sparse, but we do know that they can cause the same types of side effects as Delta-9, including changes in heart rate, low blood pressure, lethargy, and impaired coordination. And that's enough to raise a red flag for some consenting adults. But there's also concern for children accidentally taking these drugs. After all, if you like THC gummies because they are sweet and tasty, 6-year-olds are also going to like them for that very reason. And Poison Control Center calls back that up. Now, think about the fact that the conversion process from CBD to synthetic THC is sometimes referred to as kitchen chemistry. Because, well, just about anyone can do it with some fairly common chemicals. The lack of regulations in making these products mean that some nasty stuff might be in there without anyone's knowledge. So even if you're a big fan of THC and know how it works in your body, there's no real way of knowing what else is in these products unless you were the chemist. And the number of people in that synthetic THC fan club is tricky to pin down. But we know that global internet searches for Delta-8 THC went up by 257% in 2020 compared to 2019, and by 705% in just 8 months of 2021. This doesn't necessarily mean usage exploded, but curiosity certainly did. And if you're curious to try this next drug, well, just please listen to our explanation of the science first. The last gas station drug on our list is really getting a rise out of some people. Honey packets, sometimes sold as X-rated honey for men, contain Tadalafil, the active ingredient in Cialis. In case the innuendo didn't give it away, this is a drug for erectile dysfunction. Tadalafil works by inhibiting an enzyme called PDE5, which breaks down a molecule that helps dilate blood vessels in the penis. So when you block PDE5, more of that molecule is around, more blood flows in, and, well, you know what happens next. But Tadalafil doesn't just go to your penis. It affects all blood vessels, including the ones in your lungs, prostate, and bladder, making it a helpful prescription to treat other conditions related to blood vessel function, like pulmonary arterial hypertension or certain prostate issues. With all that power over your blood vessels, side effects are inevitable. You could end up with headaches, indigestion, back pain, hearing loss, or a whole list of other symptoms. One unlucky guy learned firsthand that messing with blood flow can have unexpected consequences for your vision. He showed up at the doctor complaining of blurry vision in one eye after taking some X-rated honey for men. The seemingly innocent little honey packets swole up his retina. Fortunately for him, his eye went back to normal after a month without honey. But the big danger is how it mixes with other stuff. For example, nitrates are often taken for certain heart conditions. And when you take Tadalafil and nitrates at the same time, your blood pressure can drop to life-threatening levels. And yes, Tadalafil can cause prolonged erections that can permanently damage tissue. Funny in movies, not so funny if it happens to you. Like the other drugs in this video, Tadalafil isn't inherently bad. It's the unregulated, casual availability that makes it dangerous. Many gas station drugs contain real pharmacologically active ingredients, like those that might benefit from a prescription and regular check-ins with a doctor. But without regulation, dosing guidance, or quality control, these products can pose serious risks. So if you're feeling like a daredevil at the gas station, maybe stick to something a bit less extreme, like a new flavor of Takis.